What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Israel Adesanya's prediction for Alex Pereira fight. UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya is currently in the midst of the final week of preparation for his upcoming showdown with Alex Pereira. The fight, which will headline UFC 281 on November 12th, will serve as the third time these two elite-level strikers will fight. Back in 2016, the two men met in the kickboxing ring, where Pereira picked up a unanimous decision victory in China. Almost exactly 1 year later, the two men shared the ring again. Pereira made sure to leave no doubt, knocking Adesanya out cold in the third round with a devastating left hook. Considering the fact that this fight is an incredibly personal one, it's no surprise that Adesanya has a grim prediction for how things will go for his opponent. He spoke in a recent interview with TMZ to discuss the horror movie he has planned for the trilogy fight, saying,
I want to be the first person he sees when he wakes up. I want to make sure I'm right in his line of sight, so when he wakes up, he's looking at me and then looking at the ref. And I want to be the first person he sees when he wakes up. That's how I see this fight going.
As it stands right now, the champ is a slight betting favorite for this fight, although many have predicted that Pereira will once again use his lethal left hook to get the job done. The odds have this fight being incredibly close. How do you see this fight going? Will Pereira complete the perfect 3-0 sweep over Adesanya? Or will the last stylebender prove that he has evolved in the 5 years since the two last fought? Give us your predictions in the comments below. Jorge Masvidal gives prediction for Poirier versus Chandler fight. With less than a week to go until Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler square off in a highly anticipated lightweight showdown, everyone is wondering whether there are title implications on the line. When the fight was initially booked, Chandler seemed confident that a win over Poirier would cement his place as the #1 contender at 155 pounds. Shortly after the fight was made official, however, former champion Charles Oliveira and streaking contender Islam Makhachev squared off in Abu Dhabi for the vacant 155-pound belt, where Makhachev was able to secure a dominant win. Leading up to that bout, featherweight kingpin Alexander Volkanovski secured a deal, making him the fill-in fighter should either man be forced out of the main event. Although his services were not needed, Volkanovski stepped into the octagon post-fight to have his first face-to-face stare-down with Makhachev in anticipation of a champ versus champ showdown. As exciting as the idea of a battle of the champions is, it creates a logjam at 155 pounds, with Beneil Dariush on a massive win streak and Charles Oliveira eager to return to the octagon. The fight between Poirier and Chandler began to look less and less like a #1 contender fight. The way Jorge Masvidal sees things, either way, Poirier will get the job done.
I've been watching Chandler for a very long time. Phenomenal athlete, great wrestler. But I think Dustin smokes him in those moments where the bullets are flying. Dustin finds a way always to remain calm and cool, and Dustin's going to catch him.
Of course, Poirier and Masvidal have been training partners at American Top Team for quite some time, so take the BMF's prediction with a grain of salt. When Poirier and Chandler step into the octagon, who do you think gets the job done? Give us your predictions in the comments below. Belal Muhammad pokes holes in Colby Covington's resume, calls for Chimaev fight. It's no secret that Colby Covington is one of the most polarizing fighters in the entire UFC. With his brash personality and sometimes questionable comments, Covington has managed to get fans invested in his fights. Whether it's because fans are tuning in to see him win or hoping to see him lose, Covington has managed to go from prelim fighter to one of the most popular lightweights on the roster. Despite his popularity and the attention he brings to fights, Belal Muhammad doesn't believe that his resume is as impressive as it may seem at first glance. During a recent interview with MMA Fighting, Muhammad poked holes in Colby Covington's resume as he once again made his case for a fight with Khamzat Chimaev. I know they're talking about Colby, but I don't think Colby's going to take that fight. Colby hasn't taken a hard fight or a fight against a guy coming off a win since Kamaru Usman. Kamaru is the only guy he's fought in his last 8 fights that wasn't on a 2-fight losing streak. The way Belal Muhammad sees things, Covington doesn't have the skills he does on the feet. After taking Sean Brady's undefeated status at UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi, Muhammad is confident that he's more comfortable in the fire than Covington is. According to him, he's a much tougher fight for Chimaev as well. To his credit, Muhammad has continued to call for a fight with Khamzat Chimaev time and time again. In fact, he has the distinction of being one of the few fighters to repeatedly call out Chimaev. Prior to his fight with Sean Brady, being booked for UFC 280, Muhammad reportedly asked the UFC for a fight with Khamzat, something they didn't seem interested in at the time. Now, in the midst of an 8-fight win streak, Muhammad thinks the time is now for he and Chimaev to meet in the octagon for a #1 contender bout. Before we continue, make sure to give that like button some love, and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all of the latest news. Gilbert Burns responds to Neil Magny's call-out following recent win. This weekend on the main card of UFC Vegas 64, veteran welterweight Neil Magny made the walk to the octagon to fight Daniel Rodriguez. The fight was an exciting one, with Rodriguez eager to pick up his 5th straight win after a controversial decision victory over Li Jingliang at UFC 279, and Magny eager to return to the win column. For Magny, however, the fight was not only an opportunity to return to the win column after a lopsided loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov this summer, it was also an opportunity to pass Georges St. Pierre for the most wins in the history of the UFC's welterweight division. In the 3rd round, Magny managed to secure a Darce choke, earning him the win and cementing his place in the UFC's history books. Although following the fight, he admitted that he knows he's no GSP, the feat is an incredibly impressive one for the Haitian sensation, who is still just 35 years old and seems to have plenty of fight left in him. During his post-fight Octagon interview, Magny called for a fight against top contender Gilbert Burns, who is fresh off a narrow decision loss to Khamzat Chimaev earlier this year. Burns took to Twitter to respond to the call-out. According to Durinho, the UFC already has an opponent in mind for the upcoming UFC Brazil card in January. Should the fight manage to fall through, however, Burns is open to a fight with Magny. The tweet raised questions among MMA fans in regards to who Burns could be fighting at the upcoming UFC Brazil pay-per-view. The way it looks right now, fans have 2 theories regarding who the fight could be against. One is that the UFC books Burns to fight the BMF Jorge Masvidal. The other is that the UFC could book Burns a #1 contender fight with Khamzat Chimaev. Who do you think Burns is going to fight? And who should Magny fight next? Give us your thoughts in the comments section below. And now for our breaking news story of the day.
But say the #1 contender, Sugar Sean O'Malley, is ready to go in March. The next guy in line, in my opinion, should be Chito Vera. He just beat Dominic Cruz, beat Frankie Edgar, beat some good guys. Why not have a little interim belt, and then the winner of the interim belt fight Aljo when he's ready? Me versus Chito, would that be a main event pay-per-view? I'm curious. Or would they put it on a co-main? I don't know.
It's interesting to me because I think maybe if it's an interim belt, they might throw it on a co-main.
Dude, me versus Cheeto for an interim belt, people would take that.
It would still be super sick.
Ariel Helwani fires back at Josh Thomson over media criticism. On New Year's Eve, Bellator MMA and Rizin will combine to host a thrilling night of action from the Saitama Super Arena in Japan. The co-promoted card will feature MMA fights between fighters from both promotions in a rare spectacle that is sure to draw the attention of MMA fans. After the event was announced, MMA veteran Josh Thomson was quick to fire off some warning shots at MMA media members. In the video he posted, he called upon MMA media to do their job and promote the event, considering it's going to be such a high-profile card. In the scathing video, Thomson repeatedly challenged media members to promote the event as much as they could, something that didn't sit too well with many, including Ariel Helwani. Helwani fired back during a recent episode of the MMA Hour, where he pointed out the one critical error in Thomson's logic.
The problem was, he said promote. Our job is not to promote anything. Our job is to cover things. And there's a massive difference between promotion and coverage. Now, our job isn't to sit here and say, how are we going to promote this card? That's not what the media's job is. Promoters promote, organizations promote, networks promote, media companies cover, media outlets cover. Big difference. Promotions spend money to promote, to market, to get the word out. We spend money to cover, to shine a light.
As fans on social media have continued to point out, the problem with the event is that it will be aired on tape delay in the United States several hours after the event has taken place in Japan. By the time the recorded event is broadcast in America, many fans will have either already viewed the event via stream or seen results on social media. What do you think about the event? Are you excited for it? Or do you think the tape delay is going to take away some of the excitement? Give us your thoughts in the comments below. Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to see more videos just like this. See you next time.